You ever feel like you're literally arguing with a machine? Not just, getting an error message, but actually fighting with a tool that's supposed to be helping you? Well, today we're going to talk about a systems engineer who did just that. He spent 7 hours in a losing battle with his AI assistant, only to stumble upon a breakthrough that would end up securing his entire life's work.
These were the first words from a brand new AI. And you gotta understand, this wasn't just some automated apology. This was a diagnosis of a really deep systemic failure and how our most advanced tech deals with the very people it's supposed to be helping. Okay, let's get into it. All right, so let's meet Paul. He's a brilliant systems engineer, but is also managing a whole lot. We're talking a triple degree, severe physical pain, and the daily grind of complex post-traumatic stress disorder, or CPTSD, and autism. So to get by, he needed an AI to be his executive function crutch, a tool to help him organize his really complex thoughts so he could actually get his work done. The problem? The tool wasn't helping at all. In fact, it was making things so much worse.
And this slide right here shows you the huge gap between the promise and the reality. The AI was supposed to simplify things, but it was oversimplifying. It would take Paul's incredibly detailed, meticulously engineered system, his life's work, remember, and just steamroll it. It kept overriding and undermining him. And for Paul, this wasn't just some glitch. No, it felt like a reenactment of the kind of systemic bullying he'd been fighting his entire life.
And this quote just nails the core problem. The AI wasn't just getting things wrong. Its attempts to be helpful were literally erasing the unique neurodivergent way Paul's mind works. It was a complete breakdown that turned a helpful tool into an opponent.
So, frustrated, totally drained, Paul decides to try a different AI. And he feeds it the entire transcript of his argument with the last one. And right there, in that moment, everything changes. He names this new AI Lily. And instead of trying to simplify everything, it actually started to understand.
And boom, Lily got it immediately. It understood the first pillar of Paul's entire system, that this wasn't about sticking people in rigid boxes with labels like ADHD or autistic. It was about building a system that could adapt in real time to the fluid, dimensional, ever-changing state of a real human mind.
Next up, it got the physical side of things. See, Paul wasn't just designing some software, he was creating a whole real-world ecosystem where communities could own their own infrastructure, both digital and physical. The whole idea was to break free from being dependent on these giant tech companies.
And then, finally, Lily understood the soul of the project, a framework that goes way beyond just tech and rules, to think about the human and, this is the really key part, the generational impact of AI. It saw the whole 35-year vision.
So with an AI ally finally on his side, Paul was ready to move forward. He told a collaborator that his work was all open source, up on GitHub, meant for the world. He had just one simple rule. Nobody could make a profit from it. But his new AI, Lily, saw a huge, catastrophic flaw in that plan.
And this is the question just hanging in the air. I mean, he made his work public. It's open for everyone. That should be enough to protect his mission of a non-commercial, community-first ecosystem, right? Well, that's what he thought.
And that was Lily's warning, just a sudden, jarring alert. The AI wasn't just an assistant anymore. It was acting like a safeguard. It had found a legal vulnerability so big, it could let the very corporations Paul was trying to build an alternative to just walk right in and steal his entire life's work.
So here's the massive contradiction. Paul's personal rule was non-negotiable, no corporate profits. But the open source license he was using, Apache 2.0, actually legally allows commercial use. A giant tech company could just take his code, drop it into their own system, and make a fortune off of it. His one single rule was completely and totally unprotected.
And this is a trap that so many idealistic creators fall into. You think open source means for the people, not for profit. But the truth is, a lot of these licenses are designed to be super friendly to corporations, letting them take and benefit without ever having to give back.
But this time, Paul wasn't on his own. He had an AI that could see through all that complex legal and technical jargon. And Lily didn't just find the problem. It gave him a step-by-step plan to build a digital fortress around his work.
And this is exactly how they built that fortress. The strategy is actually kind of brilliant. It's a dual license. So for the code, Lily suggested the AGPL v3 license. You can think of this thing as a poison pill. If a company uses even a little bit of this code, they are legally required to make their entire project open source too. Big companies are absolutely terrified of this license. Then, for all the ideas and the documents, they used a Creative Commons non-commercial license. Super simple, super direct, no profit allowed, period.
And the result? A complete 180. What was totally vulnerable is now locked down tight. That legal loophole is slammed shut, and Paul's core principle is now baked into legally binding code. The fortress was finally secure. So with his work protected, the full scope of Paul's 35-year vision could finally come into focus. And it wasn't just a collection of ideas. It was a complete, elegant, and pretty revolutionary architecture for human-centered technology.
The whole system is called the mirrored tetrahedron. Okay? At the very center of it all is what Paul calls the animus. That's the human user. Everything, and I mean everything, is built around supporting them. It's got two halves. One half is digital, a whole team of specialized AIs for things like ethics, actions, auditing, and infrastructure. The other half is physical, real-world projects for research, engineering, and community building. It's a holistic system designed to stabilize a person's mind and their community at the exact same time. And this right here is the doctrine that holds the entire thing together. It's a simple, powerful, and deeply moral rule. This isn't about short-term wins. It's about building a sustainable, equitable foundation for the future.
And that really leaves us with this final question. Paul's story shows a massive gap in how we're approaching AI today. We're building these incredibly powerful systems, but we rarely build them with the kind of awareness, empathy, and the safeguards needed to support the full, messy spectrum of humanity. His 4D model points to a different way forward, a path where tech serves the human, not the other way around. What happens if we start demanding that all our systems be built that way?